It's Monday, February 10. In the headlines, Government Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton hints at a general election call. In business news, research shows tourists spend $4,000 in Jamaica. Regionally, OEC's energy ministers set a 50% renewable energy target by 2035. And in sports, the Reggae Boys drew 1-1 in their friendly match against Trinidad and Tobago. And Reggae Girl and Manchester City striker Khadija Bunny Shaw returns to the field after receiving racial abuse. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. The next 4-5 months. That's the word from Government Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton as he hinted at when Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness will call the next general election. Dr. Tufton addressed the matter while speaking at a Jamaica Labour Party Area Council meeting at Onoto Bay High School in St. Mary on Sunday. During his address, he also urged party supporters to become more active in spreading the message of the party's achievements in the months remaining before the election is announced. The general election is constitutionally due by September 2025. Jamaicans living overseas are being urged to follow the laws of their host countries. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness made the appeal while addressing a National Security Council seminar on Thursday. His comments come as the United States steps up deportations of criminal offenders, including several Jamaicans. Denita Rodney has a story.
Speaking at the AC Hotel in Kingston, Prime Minister Holness reminded Jamaicans abroad that while they may reside in foreign countries, Jamaica will always be their homeland.
Let me be clear. We respect the sovereign right of any country to determine their internal security, public order, and social policy. We encourage all our Jamaicans who live in foreign countries to follow the law of the country in which you are resident. But never forget that Jamaica is your homeland. You are not homeless or stateless. What we are trying to build here is a place where every Jamaican can feel proud and comfortable to come back home. That's what we want to build here.
However, he warned deportees against returning with criminal intent.
Don't come back here to destroy your homeland and what we have been working very hard to create so that you wouldn't have had to leave in the first place. And as I said, we have been making strides in that regard. So expect to be dealt with a firm hand if your intent is criminal. Come back and let us build your homeland so that you can stand up with pride with the citizens of the world about your country.
The Prime Minister also addressed reports that Florida may require proof of legal status for remittances, calling for stronger action against illegal firearms entering Jamaica.
We respect the sovereign right of any country to pursue their public order, citizen security, and social policies. But it would be very useful, however, if the intention is to find criminals who are also illegal migrants. To put some effort on those who are trying to send back guns to Jamaica. The remittance coming back to Jamaica is helping grandma in some remote community to survive an extra day.
The Prime Minister is urging Jamaicans abroad to return home and contribute to the nation's development, emphasizing that success should not be tied to criminal activity and that his administration remains committed to making Jamaica a place where all citizens can thrive. Reporting for the news on PBCJ, I am Danita Rodney.
The National Water Commission is moving to expand access to potable water across the island, increasing coverage from 78 to 85%. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness made the announcement while breaking ground for the Whitehall to Newmarket water supply project in St. Elizabeth recently. Speaking at the Happy Grove Primary and Infant School, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness said the NWC's goal is to bring water to more communities and improve service reliability.
The objective of the NWC is to expand their footprint from 78% to 85%. Now, that's not an easy task. It took us over 100 years of making investment in pipes and water supply systems to get to 78%. But the NWC also has another objective, which is to increase the reliability and efficiency of the service.
The Whitehall to Newmarket water supply project is being spearheaded by the NWC at a cost of $342 million. Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Matthew Samuda, says it is one of 5 water projects in the parish.
So this is one of 5 projects that are taking place in the very near vicinity, Prime Minister. We are investing at an unprecedented rate in the people of St. Elizabeth, and it would not have been appropriate to allow the community of Newmarket to not benefit from that investment. It is why this afternoon we formally commence the construction phase of the Newmarket water supply project, and we will invest 342 million Jamaican dollars into your community.
Minister Samuda also assured the residents that the project will be undertaken comprehensively and expeditiously.
The project, very simply, will involve infrastructure work at the well in the community, installation of 2 major relief stations, installation of 3 major supply tanks, and some pipe work to connect the pipes done under the Mid-P project between 2018 and 2020, with installation of a further 1.5 kilometers of 6-inch pipes. Mr. MP, Minister and friend, this is a major capital investment. This project is not being undertaken with debt. It is using the revenue of NWC to invest in the people of Newmarket, and we assure you the project will be done quickly and done well.
Once completed, the initiative is expected to benefit approximately 8,000 residents in Whitehall, Newmarket, and surrounding communities. Time now for the business report with Denise Williams.
Welcome to today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, here to bring you the stories shaping the financial world and guiding your journey to smarter business decisions. Let's dive into the top headlines. US-based insurance agency Insure My Trip research reveals that an average trip to Jamaica costs US $4,145, while the average trip cost globally is US $7,740. Jamaica welcomed 4.3 million visitors last year. That said, Jamaica is the 9th most affordable destination according to Insure My Trip. In 2024, the Philippines, Mexico, and Colombia were ranked as the top 3 most budget-friendly international destinations, offering lower average trip costs. Within the Caribbean, the Dominican Republic, the Bahamas, and Bermuda were also more affordable than Jamaica. Jamaicans consume on average about 1.5 eggs per week, and the Ministry of Agriculture wants to increase this to 2 eggs per week over the next 3 years. The challenge is production. The current demand for eggs in Jamaica is about 900,000 per day, yet the country's supply is estimated at about 650,000 daily. Open quote, the reality is that the vast majority of the birds in the field are now old birds, and the old birds are usually on the way down. Their graph is heading down, end quote, conceded Mark Campbell, president of the Egg Farmers Association. According to RJR News, some local egg farmers have been managing to stay afloat because of a recent increase in the price of eggs. Before Hurricane Beryl, a tray of 30 eggs will sell for approximately $900. Today, most retailers are selling it for at least $1,400. Based on the current production figures, it takes approximately, with a dollar figure, $1,160 per flat of eggs to facilitate production and replacement of pullets, which simply means that unless you're selling eggs for at least $1,300 to $1,400 a flat, you're actually behind the 8 ball, said Dr. Kurt Harris, production manager at Jamaica Egg Services. Extra cash from dividends are on the way to investors. Carreras Limited has advised that the board of directors at a scheduled meeting for February 21, 2025 will consider an interim dividend payment to shareholders. Massey Holdings Limited has declared an interim dividend of Trinidad and Tobago 0.0354 cents per share payable on March 28, 2025 to shareholders on record as of February 28, 2025. Access Financial Services Limited has declared a dividend of 12 cents per share payable on March 7, 2025 to shareholders on record as at February 21, 2025. Epley Limited has advised that the board of directors at a meeting scheduled for February 14, 2025 will consider an interim dividend payment to shareholders. Epley Caribbean Property Fund Limited, SCC, has advised that the board of directors at a meeting scheduled for February 14, 2025 will consider an interim dividend payment to shareholders. For the trading period ending February 7, 2025, these were the most actively traded stocks. Media and real estate firm Kentire Holdings Jamaica Limited with 13,262,241 units traded, representing 32.91% of market sales volume. Alternative energy firm Wigton Energy Limited with 6,247,520 units traded, representing 15.5% of market sales volume. Beverage manufacturer Jamaican Teas Limited with 5,719,042 units traded, representing 14.19% of market sales volume. We now shift our focus to the Forex market rate set by the Bank of Jamaica. On February 7, 2025, the Bank of Jamaica reported US $65.12 million purchased and US $72.73 million sold by Forex traders. Forex traders earned $1.07 per dollar, selling the US at $157.63 and buying the US at $156.56. The Canadian dollar netted Forex traders 89 cents per transaction, with selling at $111.27 and buying at $110.38. The British pound yielded Forex traders $5.24 in profits, with selling at $197.33 and buying at $192.09. For our credit report tip of the day, rebuilding your credit can sometimes feel like navigating an obstacle course. Each challenge is a hurdle, and yet every hurdle has its counter move. So if your challenge is a limited credit history, then your strategy is to start with a secured credit card or buy a credit builder loan to lay down the first brick of your credit portfolio. If your challenge is past missed payments, then your strategy is to set up automated payments and, if possible, negotiate goodwill adjustments with your creditors to gently erase past missteps. And that wraps up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, reminding you that every financial decision is a step towards your future. Until next time, stay focused, stay informed, and keep striving for success. See you soon.
In regional news, Antigua and Barbuda is taking a major step toward modernizing education with the launch of a digital harmonized primary school curriculum. Education Minister Darrell Matthew says the initiative, which includes AI-powered lesson planning, will benefit students and teachers across the OECS. Ursel Charles Jr. has the details.
The digital OECS Harmonized Primary Curriculum, or DOHPC, has been launched in Antigua Barbuda. The process, which began back in June 2022, will now see primary schools across the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, or OECS, use a digital interactive curriculum, which has benefited from input across the educational sector in 8 OECS territories. Rafa Gordon, Project Manager for Education within the OECS Commission, explains.
We recognize that there is a need to have a curriculum that is future-proofed, a curriculum that develops students who are entrepreneurial, who are advocates for issues that they believe in, who are able to articulate their concerns, who are critical and creative thinkers, who are innovators, and basically who are ready to function in a society that is very quickly evolving.
The curriculum is already being micropiloted across the nation. This confirmed by Assistant Director of Education, Stacey Payne-Maskell.
The OECS saw it fit to engage in a micropilot, which now we have engaged 11 primary schools in Antigua Barbuda. And so discussions re the implementation of the curriculum. We have already engaged the principals of the respective schools, and we are basically mapping out this micropilot plan that will be able to give real-time feedback to the OECS.
The digital platform minimizes dissonance through its simplicity. It is also complete with assisted technologies for ease of navigation. Education Minister, the Honourable Darrell S. Matthew, welcomes the move, recognizing this is another major step in sub-regional integration. He credits the OECS for being a beacon in this regard.
We already have harmonized legislation that deals with our judiciary. We have a common currency union. And so it only stands to reason that as we deepen our integration here in the OECS, that curriculum and the education system continues to be a part of that.
Minister Matthew, therefore, has pledged the government's support for the initiative.
We are greater as a unit than we are as individual entities. And so I want to lend the support of the government of Antigua and Barbuda to the OECS integration movement as we continue to move forward.
The harmonized curriculum is one part of the OECS PEARL, or Program for Educational Advancement and Relevant Learning, which seeks to advance progress towards the goals of the OECS Education Sector Strategy, the OESS, to increase access and improve student learning in basic education. For ABS News, I'm Ursel Charles Jr.
The future of renewable energy in the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States took center stage at the third meeting of the OECS Council of Ministers Energy. Over 2 days, regional leaders mapped out a sustainable energy roadmap, focusing on advancing renewable energy initiatives across the sub-region.
The development of an energy roadmap or greenprint for the OECS and sustainable development actions in relation to renewable energy in the sub-region were some of the key highlights from the 2-day third meeting of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS, Council of Ministers, Energy. Chairman of the Council of Ministers Energy and also the St. Kitts Nevis Energy Minister Conris Maynard, in providing a synopsis of the major decisions taken at the meeting, expressed the need for a strategic approach towards the OECS Energy Greenprint.
As mentioned by Chamberlain, we have effectively mandated that instead of simply identifying the items to be done, that there must be timelines associated with them. And given that we face an existential threat, really, with the situation of the fluidity of fossil fuels and their prices and the economic woes that we are facing as a result of that fluidity, we have no choice but to make these things now a reality. It's no longer a case where it is a dream that is that seems years off. We are living the reality right now when we are spending, I understand in one territory, 40 odd cents, US cents per kilowatt hour, when renewable energy through solar can give us 5 and 6 cents. So it's an economic reality that will force the results that we need. That is why the green print, for instance, is particularly important, because we want each member state to know that this is what is expected and when it is expected, and to provide the resources or the direction on how it can be done. So I'm fairly optimistic that with the thrust that we're picking up around the region and with the new realities that exist in the global sphere, that we will have no choice but to succeed on some of these major goals that we have set out.
The landmark strategy discussed at the meetings is designed to drive economic transformation through sustainable energy over the next decade across OECS countries through the endorsement of the OECS Sustainable Energy Roadmap 2025 to 2035. But how will this be funded? A question OECS Director General Dr. Didicus Jules sought to address.
It should also be noted that aside from the financial analysis and projections that Minister described, Chairman described, that there was also a very robust discussion on ways in which some of this could be possibly self-financed, because when we look at the impact of putting in place those green technologies, the green pathway we're talking about, there will be substantial savings. So there are scenarios being looked at that would determine how can we achieve this even if we were not to get the anticipated levels of external funding that we are seeking. So that it is important that we achieve this by any means. So we are looking at multiple options for financing.
The third meeting of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States Council of Ministers Energy was held over 2 days, February 4th and 5th, at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort. Andre Huey, SKN Newsline.
The Caribbean Examinations Council, CXC, is set to roll out its artificial intelligence policy this year, and regional stakeholders are being urged to develop their own in alignment with CXC's framework. Director of Operations, Dr. Nicole Manning, made the announcement during a webinar hosted by the Jamaica Tertiary Education Commission. She emphasized AI's growing role in teaching, learning, and assessment, noting that CXC will establish standards and guidelines for its use in education.
We are sure that it has already started to play a very important part in teaching and learning. We are encouraging educational professionals to keep abreast with those technological advancements, but more so to encourage access to information, facilitate independent inquiry, as well as to facilitate the creation of their own adaptive, personalized learning experiences. For assessment, it's very important that we understand through AI that it has provided requires greater attentiveness to the appropriate use of formative and summative assessments. We do expect that the region will share in utilizing these guidelines as well as develop their own AI policies in line with CXC's AI policy framework. Last but not least, the power of partnership for transformation is key for us. And as CXC has its own partners, we do know our stakeholders have their own. So the benefits of digital transformation and the transformation, as I would have outlined, provision of current and relevant data to our policymakers, enhancement of learning opportunities, increased access to our regional candidates wherever they are in the world, data security, increased operational efficiencies across the education process, most importantly, current and innovative products in line with labor market demands.
In sports, we begin with football. The Reggae Boys drew 1-1 in their friendly match against Trinidad and Tobago at the Anthony Spalding Sports Complex on Sunday evening. 28-year-old Trinidad and Tobago defender Josiah Trimmingham, in particular, would have mixed feelings about the outing after scoring on both ends of the pitch. He plays professionally for the Montego Bay United team in Jamaica. Jamaica's under-17 Reggae Boys will begin their quest to qualify for a third World Cup tournament today when they take on St. Lucia in their opening game in Group H of the CONCACAF Under-17 World Cup qualifiers in Guatemala. Kickoff time is 5 p.m. Reggae girl and Manchester City striker Khadija Bunny Shaw made a triumphant return to the Manchester City women's team on Sunday, scoring in their 3-1 victory over Leicester City in the FA Cup fifth round at the Joy Stadium. Shaw pulled out of City's League Cup semi-final with Arsenal last Thursday to protect her mental health, following what her club described as the, quote, disgusting treatment, end quote, meted out to the Jamaican forward following the 4-3 defeat by the Gunners on February 2. Manchester City manager Gareth Taylor says they are determined to help the 28-year-old cope with her ordeal. In Trinidad and Tobago, the Spartans are the North Zone basketball under-17 champions. It was no easy contest at the St. Paul Street complex, though, as they were pushed to the wire in the deciding Game 3 by Royalty before sealing a 3-point win. Let's pick up the action in the fourth quarter with the scores tied at 52.
A shot of the spoils that were on offer for Spartans or Royalty as they faced off in the North Zone Basketball Under-17 final. Both teams would rely on their go-to players down to the final stretch. For Spartan, it was William Francis, the foul and the basket to keep his team in the lead. Isaiah Mitchell responded with a 3-point play potential on the other end, showing that Royalty were not going anywhere. Good transition from the defense to offense. Jediah King finished off another fast break to cut the deficit to 6 points. Shooting was not at its best for either team in the final period, so the ones knocking it down from the outside gave their team the advantage. Idris Martin with 3 of his 14 points on the night. Spartan still with the advantage. Royalty's Jason Best with a coast-to-coast bucket led his team with 21 points. That's 1 more point than teammate Christian Gelino. His team should have paid more attention to boxing out Francis as he did his damage close to the rim, leading all scorers with 27 points on the evening. Best with a determined play off the missed free throw cut the deficit to 3 with 45 seconds left. Then King with a spin move through traffic and the basket. How did he get that off? It is a 1-point game, no foul called. But a foul was called on the other end following a quick thinking fast break by the Spartans. Coach Cleveland King, incensed and let all in the arena know, he received a technical foul for his actions. With 5 seconds left, Royalty had 1 more play to force overtime and got the look they wanted, but it wasn't to be. 88-77, it ended as Spartans sealed the North Zone Basketball Under-17 title 2-1.
And that's it for the news on PBCJ. Thank you so much for watching.